Galatians chapter 3. We're ending chapter 3, getting into chapter 4. And you all had that to read, and you had the other book, don't tell me, the other book, book? Colossians 2. Very good. You had a question.
I have a question. It's kind of related to this, it's kind of not. But, what's a good way to self-evaluate yourself? Because, I know, a lot of these men will say, I have this background, and I did this, and I've done this, and I've saved some people and stuff. But what's a good way for, us to, self-evaluate yourself? If you see, all your friends are changing, and then maybe, you're changing, but it's you know what I mean?
You see all your friends changing.
Yeah, but then it's okay, I'm not changing. But realistically, obviously, you're changing, too,
Okay, so are all your friends changing for the better? Are they changing spiritually?
Just how you go through school and people go different ways. Not a bad thing, but you
right.
go different ways and stuff. So what's the way to self-evaluate yourself to make sure you're still on the right track? You're still
right. Okay. So that's a good question. How many of you all struggle with that same question? What's a good way to evaluate yourself? Right. Okay. Before you can evaluate anything, what has to happen? What has to happen before you? You have to know what?
What you're about to do.
What you're about to do?
To realize where you are now.
Where you are now? Okay. But okay. So where you are now, do you all hear there's a term called relativity?
Right.
It's all relative. So where you are now is what you're talking about doing for your evaluation, right? Evaluation says, where am I what? Now. All right? Okay. In order to be able to even do an evaluation, you have to first of all have something else in place. What is that?
What you plan on doing in the future.
In the future, you got to have a goal, right? So in order to evaluate, see, we want to evaluate. Okay, so have you ever been in a different city? And let's say you're going to go catch a bus or a train, mostly in the train stations, and you'll see a map, and it has a dot right here, and it says what? You are here. Okay, watch this. All right? You are here, but you're at that train station for what purpose? To go somewhere else. Okay? Now, all right? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? All right? So, if you want to be here, all right, what is it going to take for you to get here? Have you ever noticed they also have different routes and all that kind of stuff, right? Right? So, in order to do an evaluation, you have to, first of all, say your evaluation has to be based on something, all right? And that is, where do I want to be, right? Okay, so do you have a 5-year plan?
Yeah.
You do? Great. How many of you have a 5-year plan? Somebody what in the world is a 5-year plan?
How intensive is this 5-year plan?
Oh, that's a good question as well. Okay.
Brother Bradley,
yes, sir.
Before we go too far off,
right.
There's something that's written on the board that we probably should take advantage of because it's appropriate against the question.
Right. And
we talk about SMART goals. One of the things that he said is we have to set a goal. And the acronym for that is SMART when we talk about those goals, right?
Right.
So to evaluate yourself against anything is the point that he's making. There has to be some goal or some standard that you're evaluating yourself against.
Right.
So if you're setting that, even in light of this 5-year plan or 10-year plan that he's talking about, always remember it needs to be a SMART goal or plan. And that's exactly what we mean by SMART. It has to be
specific.
You have to be able to measure what it is that you're trying to accomplish. It needs to be obtainable, which, if we start talking about our spiritual
measurable.
life, right, and attainable.
Right.
Right? And we start talking about our spiritual life, we have examples of how attainable all these things are and how realistic. But also, too, we need to make it timely. Because if we don't set some times for some things, we'll let them linger on forever. And I'm saying that specifically even in my life. If I don't set, I need to accomplish my SMART goal by X, then sometimes it'll just dangle out there forever because I'll tell myself I have time.
Right.
I can do that later.
Right.
So I mean that's important to think about.
Come in.
Especially now as y'all are framing and starting to evaluate where you are against where you feel like you want to be.
Okay, now watch this. Now you said your friends are changing.
Yeah. But
Okay.
it's like I don't just want to point it like, oh, they're changing because like obviously I'm changing too, you know.
Right. Okay, but so change means they are moving, right? Okay. But just because someone is changing, just because someone is moving, doesn't necessarily mean that what they are doing is beneficial. You see, we're going to, like you said, we are going to change. Life does that all by itself, right? So it's not just enough to be moving. It's not just enough to be changing. That's why it's so important to have these goals and smart goals. And I'm glad you pointed that out. That's been up there for 100 years on that board, right? But it's important to know what kind of movements and what kind of changes you want to make. And you must set a time limit on these. And that's why I said a 5-year plan. But within your 5-year plan, you also got to have, that would be more like your long range goals. You got to have some short range goals as well, right? As it relates to spiritually, okay? As it relates to spiritually, your goal has already been set. The goal has already been set. Now, for you in particular, okay, where am I right now? See, that's why you got to figure out where you are right now. And then, are you satisfied with where you are? And if not, how are you going to move? And it's really interesting you say that because I'm getting ready to put together and publish a journal. Because as we do workshops around the country, we have a little survey that we give the people. And most everybody that we give that survey to, we ask them, okay, what are your challenges or whatever? The main one that they check, y'all, is spiritual growth. What does that mean? Spiritual growth. We all ought to have that goal. We all want to grow spiritually, but what does that mean? What does that look like? How do we accomplish that? And so I'm getting ready to put together a journal that I'll be letting you all know about because it's going to walk you through and it'll be based on 30 days. It'll be based on 30 days where you'll have to journal each day of the month what you did to help yourself grow spiritually. Because if you don't, life gets so busy and so hurried, you'll look up and a week is gone and you hadn't done anything for your spiritual goal. Is that all right? Okay, so you got to know where you are. You got to know where you want to be. And then you have to decide, okay, how do I get to there? All right? And sometimes you don't have the answer to that. Because if you did, you'd already be there. Does that make sense? So then you go and you engage some other people who have made it there, right? So that you'll know that you are moving in the right direction. Get someone to look at your 5-year plan. Have you had someone look at your 5-year plan?
I mean, kind of just like talking to like other med students and stuff, but not like in detail.
Right. Okay. Well, that's get someone else to look at that goal, your career goals, your spiritual goals, your personal goals. How many of you ladies want to be married one day? Oh, just right. Okay. Y'all don't want to admit it with these guys in here. Okay, but if you want to be married, that has to be a goal, and you have to do some things in order to get yourself ready for that, right? So that you don't just, because what will happen, again, if you don't have a goal, if you don't have an objective, then what you may end up doing is just grabbing somebody, you know what I'm saying? And then, whoa, how'd I get into this? Any of y'all ever been there before? You got hooked up with this dude or this girl? It's like, whoa, how did I get here? Right? Okay. That whistle means that we need to be headed out. So what we're going to do, y'all, we're going to go out this door, and we're going to go that way. All right? So let's go right down here.
It's a disaster drill, please.
Disaster drill. So follow right down there and follow those individuals. What's your name? Jasmine. All right. Follow those people right down there to the exit. Follow the sign that says exit. Please don't linger.
It's drill.
Yes.
I'm lingering.
Okay, you can linger if you want to.
Got somebody there. Y'all know who it was?
Okay, that was a horrible drill. We would all been toast. Okay, so they left it up to us teachers to decide which way we would go. So in the future, we will not be going that way. We'll go right up the stairs. All right, we'll go right up the stairs in the future. Okay, so let's resume our. Come on in, man. We gotta go. Come on, have a seat. So the question that was on the floor was, it was. We're gonna tie it into this lesson, but the question on the floor was, how do I know that I'm moving or changing and doing the right thing? Because I see my friends around me changing or moving or progressing. We talked about how important it is to do this self-evaluation. That was the real question. How do I do a self-evaluation? We said you first of all have to decide where you are, but that is relative to where you want to be. So you have to set a goal, you have to set your goals, and then you can determine, because that's going to be the basis of your evaluation, right? Am I where I need to be? And that's why your goals should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. All right? So, having said that, let's get into Galatians chapter 3, the end of chapter 3, the last verse, actually, of Galatians chapter 3. We challenged you all last week. And for those of you who are viewing the video, in case you're not a part of Greenville Avenue, we just had a drill, and so we were taken out, so we had to resume class. All right? So, if ye then, he says, and if ye be Christ, then are ye Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. We challenged you last week to come back and tell us if you are Christ. If you belong to Christ. Because that's what the other version, one of the other translations says. By the way, Ryan, great job on song leading this morning in worship. All right? So, let's see how you did. If any of you looked at the video, you also noticed that I fussed a little bit last week. I fussed at the class a little bit last week, and I'm going to tell you why I fussed at. Y'all already know why I fussed at the class last week. Anybody know why I fussed at the class last week? Because nobody was reading. Nobody was reading, right? And shame on us. Because I can guarantee you, y'all read Facebook last week, Twitter, whatever. I can guarantee you did that. So I challenge you all I fussed at you a little bit last week to get you all to understand that when we read prior to coming to class, we can then discuss and we can really get deep. But if we have to read, then we'll treat you like little children. Okay, you read one chapter or one verse, you read that. Come on, y'all. We're adults. All right? So, how many of you can honestly say that, because remember Galatians 3:29, and if ye be Christ, that if was what? That if was it was a choice, it's a possibility, but it's a, what kind of word? It begins with a C. Conditional. Conditional. If ye be Christ, he says, then you are what? Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. God made Abraham a promise a long time ago. And he says, I'm going to make you the father of many nations. He says, and I'm going to give you all this stuff. Okay? All right. Now, so, how many of you can say right now, I am Christ? I belong to Christ. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. 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 Milton don't have his hand up. Ricky he's still where he was last week. Y'all remember? Ricky is still where he was last week.
When you say
can't say, right? I'm sorry. You say what? Okay, we got a question on the floor. Oh, hold on a second. I can't hear your question because we got some chitter over here. Chatter. You say what?
So when you say, are you Christ, you mean like, have you been baptized, or are you just saying like, do you actually follow know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's a very good question.
Yes.
Okay, now hold on. Let me get over here because I want to make sure. that they got. Okay, say it again.
When you say are you with Christ, does that just mean like you're baptized and like you go to church, or does that actually mean you follow?
Very good question. Very. So when you all heard me say, how many of you belong to Christ or in Christ? How many of you would answer his question? How many of you can answer his question? You say what, Jazz?
Well,
If you're just baptized, he says. So does that mean you're just baptized? You're coming to church?
Well, if you just come to church and you're not really in it, then I don't think you're really following Christ.
Somebody else want to speak to that?
I second that.
You second
I
that?
mean, you could, because everybody knows you can show up and still not be in the body because you have to be baptized and stuff to be a part of the body and stuff. But then, I think he was talking, what's the other thing you said?
I was just asking for when he just.
But, I think the question is just, are you his? Are you Christ's seed? Because, I mean, you could still, because he's long-suffering with us, so, you could still be doing stuff, but you could still be, part of his.
You can.
You see what I'm trying to say? Does that make sense?
We baptized, but you.
All right, hold on. He's got a follow on. We'll come back to that. I promise you.
I'm just saying, for you, can we just say we in the middle?
Yeah. Did y'all hear what he said? Did you hear? Oh, he stepped.
Wait.
Hey, have y'all ever? Anybody ever had a dog and you go outside and you're walking in the backyard and you step on something and it's squish? He stepped right into that, boy. Did y'all hear what he said? He said, "Can we just say we're in the middle?"
I mean, no.
That's what he said. Can't be lukewarm. Why can't we be lukewarm?
Just like Lance, just kind of gonna go into the lesson within Colossians 2.
Yeah, we're not gonna get there today, y'all, because the preacher went long and we had to drill. But you can't be lukewarm. Now, what's wrong with being lukewarm?
Because he will spew you out, because you're either hot or cold. You're not
Now I'm looking at her, asking her, because you talk every week. You talk every week.
She's doing good.
Okay, but you the one introduced it. So what's up with being lukewarm? What's the problem with being lukewarm?
It's in the middle. It's nasty.
It's in the middle. It's nasty. Okay, because Jesus said in Revelation when he was talking about the church at
Galatia,
Laodicea.
I didn't mean it like this.
Well, wait.
No.
He said, wait. See, he knows. He's been in this lesson. He's been in this class before when we discussed that. So he knew as soon as he said it in the middle. Did y'all see him crawfishing? Did you see him dancing? As soon as he said it, he started doing this. Okay. Okay, you didn't mean it like that, but you meant it like what?
I meant to I am baptized, but at the same time, I'm still working on certain things in my Christian walk.
Okay, y'all, that sounds like I'm a work in progress. Right, and what did we say about that? At some point, you should start seeing some progress. I'm a work in progress. Right. Okay, now watch how this ties to your question. How do I know that I am where, as I do my self-evaluation? See, all we did with that question, all Paul did with this statement was to charge each one of us to do an evaluation. If ye be Christ. Question is, am I Christ? All you're doing is an evaluation. That's exactly what you're doing. And each one of you were tasked last week with coming back and telling us whether or not you are. Now watch this. Speaking of, what was that? Okay, so look at chapter 3, verse 26. 3:26 says what?
Because you are all sons of God through faith in Christ Jesus.
Wait. You're all, King James says you're all the children of God, right? Okay. Yours says you're all the sons of God. Because what?
Through faith in Christ.
Through faith in Christ Jesus. Verse 27 says what?
For all those of you who were given baptism into Christ did put on Christ.
Okay. All right. So if you've been baptized, to your point, You put on Christ. You remember the talk we had last week about the jackets? Your jacket was green. Yours was burgundy, maroon or whatever. Right? Okay. So, and we said that is their Letterman jacket, right? So, his is green because he went to, don't tell me, Prosper. Was it Prosper? And yours was maroon because you went to Rowlett, right? Okay. So, when they see Ricky going down the street in his burgundy jacket, they immediately assume he's from Prosper. Oh, wait. See, I knew. I just wanted to make the point. And y'all got it. Did y'all see that? Did y'all see that? See, because if Ricky is found with a green jacket on, he's out of place, isn't he? Because that's not where he went to school. You all, according to Galatians 3:26 and 27, put on Christ. So when people see you, when they look at you, do they see Christ? If ye be Christ, if you are Christ, why you got on something else? You reacted, so I got to come over here.
I ain't say nothing.
Yeah, you did too. You know we don't have to talk to say something, do we? Right. Yeah, he did this. He said, what does that mean? What were you communicating? You put on Christ. When they look at you, do they see Christ? That's because he says, if you are Christ. Now, see, he ties in his conditional statement by saying, if you are Christ, then, and only then, are you Abraham's seed. Why is it important to be Abraham's seed? Because
they get the promise.
They get the promise. Now, why do they get the promise?
Because God promised Abraham that they would get the promise.
God promised Abraham that they would get the promise. But it was, even that promise was conditional.
Okay.
What was that promise? What was the condition? What were the conditions?
That he'd have a son.
Okay. Yes, that he would have a son. Okay, now watch this. Ooh, that's good. I'm good. Ooh, that's good. All right, that he would have a son. Okay. Okay, but the son didn't come right away. So what happened?
He had sex with the servant.
He had sex with the servant. He being
Abraham.
Abraham had sex with the servant. Was that wrong?
Yes.
Oh, he was impatient. Who said that? Wait, Dejan is. Okay. All right. Wait. Y'all gotta get this. Yeah, I'm glad he said that because look. God says, I'm gonna give you something. Okay? But God doesn't always deliver right away when he makes a promise. Dejan said he was impatient, so he had sex with this servant. Well, it wasn't quite like that, but you're right. His wife, they were old. And she says she was barren. What does that mean, ladies? She couldn't have children. She was barren. She couldn't have children. So what she decided to do was to do what?
Give Abraham.
Give what now?
Abraham.
Her servant, which was equivalent to marriage, just so that y'all won't be saying, oh, Abraham was a shaker. That was equivalent. Mover, shaker, whatever. Okay, so I'm trying to make sure y'all understand that wasn't adultery. Thank you. Right. That wasn't adultery. That wasn't fornication. She gave her servant to him, right? Like they were married as well. So then she has a son. Who is she, by the way? Hagar. Hagar was sent into Abraham. They have sex. They have a baby. And his name was Ishmael, yes, that's right, right? Okay, now, okay. But did God make good on his oath? Now, the reason she did that was because Sarah became, say your word again? Impatient. God made a promise. Sarah becomes impatient and says, we got to do something about this. Pause. God has made us promises. In fact, one of the promises is closely related to what we're talking about. And that is, y'all can have all the sex you want. But if you get impatient, instead of waiting on God, you will go ahead and do what? Oh, y'all so holy right now. You will go ahead and, okay, God has said y'all can have all the sex you want in marriage, right? That's where the promise comes, right? But y'all get impatient, like Sarah did, and do what? Go ahead and do it now. Do it anyway. Okay, now watch this. So Sarah got impatient. She says, I got to give my husband a son, even if it means allowing some other woman to be with my husband. Did you see? I had to set it up like that so that y'all would get, look, y'all, look, we do the same thing. We make, was that stupid? Yes. That was stupid. But y'all, we do the same thing. We make stupid decisions because we get impatient with God. Okay, so she allowed some other woman to go into her husband. They have sex. They have a baby. Okay, but didn't God make them a promise? Did they have a son? So God made good on his promise? God always makes good on his promises. So he promised that they would have a son. After Ishmael is born, Sarah and Abraham still, getting busy. And then they have a son. What's his name? Isaac. How was Isaac and Ishmael's relationship? Yeah, but
they didn't like each other.
They didn't like each other?
I don't know.
Their inheritance wouldn't be shared.
They wasn't?
Their inheritance wouldn't be shared.
Okay. There was an inheritance that Abraham had been given, right? Okay, so wait.
Ishmael.
So both of them are his sons.
Yes, but Ishmael.
So do both of them get this inheritance?
No.
Okay, watch this. And if you be Christ, then are you Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. Okay, let me tell you how their relationship was. One day, Miss Sarah looked up and Ishmael was giving Isaac a hard time. And she says, she got to go. She and that baby got to go. Put them out. Wait, I thought you needed her. See, people will use you. People will use you to get what they want. And after they get what they want, you got to go. You say what?
What you mean by they got to go? Like kill or just like get out?
Get out the house.
Okay.
You say what? You had a question? Oh, I thought. Okay. She said, Hagar and Ishmael got to go. And Abraham says, okay. Is that what Abraham said? Men? Is that what Abraham said? Abraham said, okay. No, he didn't. He struggled with that. Why? Why did he struggle with that? That's his son. That's his son. And watch this. Whenever we have sex with someone, a chemical connection is made in the brain. There's a chemical that is released called oxytocin. And so whenever we have sex with someone, a chemical reaction takes place in the brain. So we actually form a connection with that individual. Yes. 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 That's why, by the way, there's a passage in the New Testament that says, when you have sex with a harlot, you two become one. Because that connection is made. So if I go out, cheat on their mother, her mother, if I go out, cheat on her mother with a harlot, with a prostitute, we are one. Me and that prostitute are one. That's right. That's what he teaches. Because God made it so where this connection is made. So Abraham didn't want Hagar to go because that bond had been formed. He didn't want Ishmael to go because that was his son. Y'all, we're going to see that in chapter 4. We're going to see that in chapter 4. Because this inheritance that was made to Abraham, that was given to Abraham, was due to his children. And if you are Christ, you are Abraham's seed, and you get part of that promise as well. Okay. So we go to chapter 4. Now I say that the heir, as long as he is a child, differeth nothing from a servant, though he be Lord of all. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? Yes.
No, we're just talking about time.
Oh, is it time?
Yeah.
Okay, time's up. Okay, all right. So y'all have the same assignment. Wait, watch this now. Y'all have the same assignment you had last week. Chapter 4 and Colossians chapter 2. You know what that is? That's called grace. Because y'all, how many of y'all read this week? How many of y'all read this week? 1, 2, 3. And those of you who were not here last week, you don't have an excuse, right? You got the email. Okay. Galatians 4 and Colossians 2. Read those, especially Galatians 4, because you're going to see what we just talked about, how it ties in, okay, with the two boys. Is that Jesus calling? You better answer. Oh, everybody else call you answer. Jesus. Okay, but anyway. All right. So read those two. Does it make sense how this all ties in? You got to know where you're supposed to be before you can actually do your evaluation. We can talk some more about that because that's critical. All right. God bless y'all. I'm going to turn this off so y'all don't be embarrassed talking about your prayer request.